Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Gaura Premanande. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa. Tri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Sirabai Charandarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Charya's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Samavata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Harinama Sankirtana Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Zainitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksurindritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanditam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakantana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Maybe that can be folded and put on the seat actually. You know, fold it? Yeah. And put it across. Yes. We're giving you an elevated seat this morning.
I think it's too much, but
Huh?
it's a very wonderful thing. Thank you.
As you wish. Yes. We're just trying to elevate everyone.
Pardon?
We're just trying to elevate everyone
Yeah.
in Krishna consciousness.
That's why we come here.
Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the Supremest Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Sridham Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Sridham Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Sridham Namaha.
Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class. And even though it is not Sunday, special day, because he's leaving tomorrow,
Yes.
tomorrow morning.
Yeah, tonight,
Oh, tonight.
which is tomorrow morning, 1:30.
Okay. Yes, yes.
We
Jai.
just found out this morning.
I see. Going to another eco village. Govardhan. Govardhan.
Yeah, Govardhan Eco Village.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Meantime, we will visit Dwarka this morning. The chapter we are reading is Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. Yes. That is chapter 11 in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, and text number?
34.
You sure now?
Yes.
34, not 33. Okay. Yes. Yesterday we read a wonderful purport. Of course, Prabhupada's purports are all wonderful. Yes.
They're all wonderful.
Yes.
And the more often we read them, the more we see how wonderful they are.
Yes. 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 Okay. Evam Nripanam Kshiti Bhara Janmanam Akshohini Bihi Parivritta Tejasam Vidhaya Vairam Swasano Yathanalam Mitho
Mito,
Vadheno Parato Narayudhaha Evam Ripanam Kshiti Bhara Janmanam Akshohi Nibhi Parivritta Tejasam Vidhaya Vairam Swasano Yathanalam Mitho Vadheno Parato Nirayudaha Evam Nipanam Kshiti Bhara Janmanam Akshohinibhi Parivrittate Jasam Vidhaya Vairam Swasano Yathanalam Mitho Vadheno Parato Nirayudaha Evam Nripanam Kshiti Bhara Janmanam Akshohinibhi Parivritta Tejasam
Akshauhinihi parivritta tejasam
Vidhaya Vairam Swasano Yatha Nalam
Vidhaya vairam swasano yathanalam
Mitho Vadheno Parato Nirayudha
Mito vadheno parato nirayudha
एवं नृपाणां क्षितिवारजन्मनां
Evam nripanam chitivaраjanmanam
मोक्षो हि निबे परिवृत्ततेजसम्
Akshonibhi parivritta tejasam
विदाय वैरं स्वसनो यथा सलम्
Vidhaya vairam swasano yathanalam
मिते वदेनो परतो निरायुधा
Mito vadheno parato nirayudha
एवं नृपाणां क्षितिभारजन्मनाम्
Evam nripanam chitivaраjanmanam
अक्षौहिणीभिः परिवृत्ततेजसाम्
Akshonibhi paritejasam
विधाय वैरं स्वसनो यतानलम्
Vidhaya vairam swasano yathanalam
मितो वधेनो परतो निरायुधा
Mito vadheno parato nirayudha
एवं नृपाणां श्रुतिभारजन्मनाम्
Evam Nripanam Chitibharajanmanam
अक्षयोनिभिः परिवृत्ततेजसाम्
Akshohinibhi Parivrittatejasam
विधाय वैरं ससनो यथानलम्
Vidhaya Vairam Swasano Yatha Nalam
मितो वधेनो वरतो निरायुध
Mitho Vadheno Parato Nirayudha
Evam nipana chitivarajannmana
नृपाणां क्षितिभारजन्मनाम्
Vakshonibhi parivritta tejasam
Akshohinibhi Parivrittatejasam
Vidhara vairam vyasasano yathanalam
Vidhaya Vairam Swasaso Yatha Nalam
Mitho vadhenor nirayudha
Vitto Vadeno Parato Nirayudaha
Evam nipana chitivarajannmanam Akshonibhi parivritta tejasam Vidhaya vairam swasano yathanalam Mito vadeno parato nirayudha
And now we will ask Mataji.
Evam nripanam kshitibharajanmanam
Evam Nripanam Kshitibharajanmanam
akshayini parivritta tejasam
Akshohinibhi Parivrittatejasam
vidaya vairam swasano yatanalam
Vidhaya Vairam Swasaso Yathanalam
mito bhadeno parato nirayuda
Mitho Videno Parato Nirayudaha Evam
Evam
Thus
thus
Nripanam
Nirvanam
of the kings
of the kings
or administrators
or administrators
Kshitibhara
Chitibhara
the burden of the earth
the burden of the earth
Janmanam
Janmanam
born in that way
born in that way
Akshohinibhi
Akshonibhi
empowered by a military strength of horses,
powered by military
strength of horses,
elephants,
elephants,
chariots and infantry,
chariots and infantry,
pavitra,
pavitra,
parivrita,
parivrita,
being puffed up
being puffed up
by such
by
surroundings,
such surroundings,
tejasam,
tejasam,
prowess,
prowess,
vidhaya,
vidhaya,
having created
having created
vairam,
vairam,
hostility,
hostility,
swasanaha,
vasanaha,
interaction of the wind,
interaction of the wind
and the pipe plants.
and the pipe plants.
pipe plants. Yatha,
Yatha.
as it is.
As it is.
Analam,
Now.
fire. Mittaha,
Mittaha.
with one another.
With one another.
Vadhena,
Vadena.
by killing them.
By killing them.
Uparataha,
Uparata.
relieved.
Relieved.
Nirayudaha,
Nirayudha.
by himself,
By himself.
without being a party
Without being a party.
to such
To
fighting.
such fighting.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki.
Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai.
The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc. He himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators, and they fought amongst themselves. He was like the wind which causes friction between bamboos, and so sparks a fire. Kindly repeat after me. The Lord was pacified after killing those kings
After killing those kings
who were burdensome
who were burdensome
to the earth.
to the earth.
They were puffed up
They were puffed up
with their military strength,
with their military strength.
their horses,
Their horses,
elephants,
elephants,
chariots,
chariots,
infantry,
infantry,
etc.
etc.
He himself was not a party
He himself was not the party
in the fight.
in the fight.
He simply created hostility
He simply created hostility
between the powerful administrators,
between the powerful administrators.
and they fought amongst themselves.
They fought amongst themselves.
He was like the wind,
He was like the wind
which causes friction
which causes friction
between bamboos,
between bamboos
and so sparks a fire.
and so sparks a fire.
Purport. As stated above, the living beings are not factual enjoyers of things which are manifested as God's creation. The Lord is the genuine proprietor and enjoyer of everything manifested in His creation. Verse. The Lord is a genuine proprietor and enjoyer of everything manifested in His creation. Bhoktaram Jagatapasam. Yes, there are a few verses. Bhoktaram Jagatapasam, then Gathamam Shantimrisati. Yes. Unfortunately, influenced by the deluding energy, the living being becomes a false enjoyer, in italics, a false enjoyer, under the dictation of the modes of nature. Puffed up by such a false sense of becoming God, the deluded living being increases his material strength by so many activities and thus becomes a burden of the earth, so much so that the earth becomes completely uninhabitable by the sane. Who are the sane? The devotees. There was an article in Back to Godhead magazine many years ago. You probably remember. The title was, Who is Crazy?
Oh, yes.
These Hare Krishna people are crazy? Or these materialistic people are crazy? Yeah. Yes. This state of affairs is called Dharmasya Glani. Verse? Tadatmanam Sridham Yaham. Yes.
Irreligion.
Irreligion.
Rani?
Glani means destruction.
Destruction.
That whenever there is distraction or obstacles, yes.
So this is destruction of Dharma.
Yes.
Oh,
When there are when there's too much of insanity, dharma becomes destroyed. When there are too many leaders in society who practice insanity, then their activities are adharmic, against dharma, and they create havoc in society, which is the present scenario in which we're living. Yes. So this state of affairs is called dharmasya glani, or misuse of the energy of the human being. When such misuse of human energy is prominent, the saner living beings become perturbed by the awkward situation created by the vicious administrators, who are simply burdens of the earth. And the Lord appears by his internal potency just to save the saner section of humanity and to alleviate the burden due to the earthly administrators in different parts of the world. God, we can just picture the state of affairs in the world today. The Lord does not favor either of the unwanted administrators, but by his potential power, he creates hostility between such unwanted administrators, as the air creates fire in the forest by the friction of the bamboos. The fire in the forest takes place automatically by the force of the air. And similarly, the hostility between different groups of politicians takes place by the unseen design of the Lord. The unwanted administrators, puffed up by false power and military strength, thus become engaged in fighting amongst themselves over ideological conflicts, and so exhaust themselves of all powers. The history of the world reflects this factual will of the Lord, and it will continue to be enacted until the living beings are attached to the service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, this fact is vividly described. Bhagavad Gita 7:14.
Yes. Devi Haisha Gunamayi
Daiviyasha Gunamayi
Mama Maya Duratya
Mama Maya Dharatyaya
Mami Vayi Prapadante
Mame Vaye Prapadyante
Maya Metam Tarantite.
Ayametam Tarantite. Translation?
The divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
Yes. It is said the diluting energy is my potency, and thus it is not possible for the dependent living beings to supersede the strength of the material modes. But those who take shelter in me, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, can cross over the gigantic ocean of material energy. This is the translation. This means that no one can establish peace and prosperity in the world by fruitive activities or by speculative philosophy or ideology. The only way is to surrender unto the Supreme Lord and thus become free from the illusion of the deluding energy. Unfortunately, persons who are engaged in destructive work are unable to surrender to the personality of Godhead. They are all fools of the first order. They are the lowest of the human species of life. They are robbed of their knowledge, although apparently they seem to be academically educated. They are all of the demoniac mentality, always challenging the supreme power of the Lord. Those who are very materialistic, always hankering after material power and strength, are undoubtedly fools of the first order because they have no information of living energy, and being ignorant of that supreme spiritual science, they are absorbed in material science, which ends with the end of the material body. They are the lowest of human beings because the human life is especially meant for establishing the lost relation with the Lord, and they miss this opportunity by being engaged in material activities. They are robbed of their knowledge because even after prolonged speculation, they cannot reach to the stage of knowing the personality of Godhead, the summum bonum of everything. And all of them are men of demoniac principle, and they suffer the consequences, as did such materialistic heroes as Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and others. Translation again. The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc., etc. He himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators, and they fought amongst themselves. He was like the wind which causes friction between bamboos and so sparks a fire. So we are reading what is a very accurate description of the state of affairs in the world today. Where those who are following adharmic principles end up ultimately fighting against one another. And very clearly Prabhupada explains how there's only one way or one solution to this problem, which is stemming, of course, from the problem of ahankara, false ego, false understanding. And in this way, the whole material situation becomes a very, very difficult situation for the saner part of society, for those who are having some knowledge of dharma. Then the situation becomes, in many ways, intolerable. So here it is explaining how this is actually Krishna's arrangement. Those who refuse to accept and to follow the eternal principles of dharma, what we know as Sanatana Dharma, they end up ultimately destroying themselves and destroying. So Prabhupada is speaking quite strong words, referring to such persons as fools and rascals, because they're wasting not only their own human form of life, but they're causing so much of suffering to others, and especially the main suffering is that being themselves misguided, they are also misguiding those who are meant to be their dependents. Therefore, King Rishabhadev instructs, Guru na sasyat, Pita na sasyat. One should not become Guru, one should not become Pita, father, or leader, king, even father or mother, unless one can deliver one's dependence. This is the mission of the Lord, to reestablish the principles of Dharma, and this is also meant to be the mission of the Lord's devotees. We are meant to try and understand how to reestablish what is meant to be the proper order in society. And actually it's in many inconceivable ways it is happening. It is happening especially by the the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by the various acharyas, and by so many activities which are taking place. Yesterday I happened to meet one devotee I'd never actually met before, who was studying some years back in Govardhan when one devotee had been selected actually to start courses in Sanskrit. That was Gopi Parana Dan Argad brother. Gopi Parana Dana Prabhu.
I never knew him.
Yeah. He was since for many, many years. Of course, he passed away. It was Srila Prabhupada's desire that we have at least some devotees who are learning Sanskrit and who could be helping for the translation, and also because our whole culture is based on Sanskrit. Therefore, at least some devotees should be learning this particular language. So, anyways, he was involved in those studies, and he went on to continue various studies. So he was mentioning how the other devotees who were like his seniors were telling him you should get your PhD. He ended up getting his PhD actually in Canada, in Ontario, and the subject matter that was a few years back. The subject matter was on kirtan. And at the beginning, at the university, the people could not relate to that kirtan. You know, what you wanted to do a PhD on kirtan? What is that? Anyways, he brought them to some big kirtan mela, and to kind of open their eyes a little bit that there's a lot of there's a whole culture, you know, sound vibration. He didn't go as a devotee. He was like as. And anyways, they ended up allowing him, and they told him, actually, I don't know how much help we can give you in your research, but we'll give you as much support as possible. So he was telling how when the time came, you know, when you do such kind of research, you have to, what is called defend your thesis.
Right.
You write your paper, your thesis, then you have to defend it. You have a panel of people who are expert in different fields of knowledge, and then they ask you all kinds of questions on what you wrote. And if the answers are okay, then swaha, you know, you get your PhD. So he was telling that for his thesis, they had invited like 7. Normally it's like 3, 4, 5, it could be up to 7 or more. 7 different people from, because his subject matter covered a lot of aspects of the Vedic culture, you know, history, psychology, philosophy, sociology. So they brought in, amongst the 7, 3 were from Indian background. And when he gave his introduction, he started to glorify Vedic culture naturally. So naturally, he had 3 people immediately on his side. And then the remarkable thing he was telling me was that the whole presentation and his defense went very well. As a matter of fact, his main advisor, normally when you do such research, you have somebody who's like your supervisor or advisor. You have one, right? Yeah. So he was, after the whole thing, he had talked to this devotee. None of them knew he was a devotee. Only maybe his professor came to know this guy is like a little different. And so his guide was telling him, he says, actually, I've attended many such, situations where students defend. He says that was one of the best ones I've attended. You know. So it means that, in different ways, devotees are getting the message across, even in places where, because in Canada, he also had to speak about Varnashram in his research. And so it's like in Canada and in the Western countries, Varnashram, it's like you're trying to push, what is called the caste system. And the twisted and unbona fide version of what people refer to as caste system. But if one is attentive, then one can begin to understand that actually, there is such natural divisions in society. So this is, in so many ways, we have devotees who are reaching out and actually gradually bringing so many people actually to the ultimately to understand what is dharma. And like Prabhupada says here in the purport, that is the only way. That is the only way to bring about, a sane situation in society. Otherwise, it will simply continue to be chaotic and destructive as it is presently. We're on the verge of World War III, actually, with all of the demoniac activities and and warfare, actually, that is ongoing right now. So this is what is being described here. That actually it cannot be otherwise when people are not God conscious, and it's not just happening, let's say, on the global level between big leaders in the society, but it's happening on our own level also every day. The more we are Krishna conscious, the more the chances are we will be able to interact nicely with other devotees and also with non-devotees. It's a whole art and science, how to exchange, how to interact with with people who have a different ego, especially those who have. The more one has false ego, the more one is materialistic, the more challenging it is actually to to bring them to Krishna consciousness, um, and of course, because majority of people in the world are much less aware of or knowledgeable of the Krishna consciousness, and of course, we should not simply be pointing the finger, but we should also be very much analyzing ourselves in terms of what is my actual understanding of the process, what we call Krishna consciousness, what is my factual level of realization of what is dharma and what is adharma, and and that is directly affecting actually our ability to develop whatever project we are endeavoring to develop, isn't it? And what is of foremost importance, which is of course referred to here, is having individuals who are qualified leaders, and that's one of the purposes why Srila Prabhupada wanted that we establish, for example, Varnashram colleges, is to train individuals to become ideal leaders. A Vaishnava means someone who actually is automatically an ideal leader, because a Vaishnava is meant to learn very nicely the science of controlling one's mind and controlling one's senses. That is the quality and characteristic of those who are in leadership position. They understand the whole psychology that is explained, especially in the Bhagavad Gita, about the body and the mind and the soul, etc.
I have a question.
Yes,
It says in the purport, I think the verse 2, that Krishna did not directly involve himself
yes,
in the battle,
yes,
but he caused these frictions to,
yes,
so that the demons, the demoniac people would be killed.
at each other's throat. Yes,
So today there's so much war, there's so much disturbance in the whole world.
yes,
Is it possible that this is happening now for that reason?
yes, yes, yes. So the question is, as we are reading here, Krishna is indirectly causing such kind of friction to take place. As and the example given is of the wind in the and bamboos coming together by friction. So the question is the same. Is Krishna doing the same thing today, basically, in terms of the situation in our modern world? Yes, it is. It is an integral part of Krishna's system or creation that when we refuse to accept and adopt the principles of Dharma, which is largely seen in Kali Yuga and in the 21st century, then there must be this antagonism. There must be this friction. It's like, see, on a small scale, it's easy to understand also. If you have two people who are strong in their false ego, they will clash, isn't it? And the opposite, if you have two people who are very nice, surrendered, humble devotees of the Lord, they will cooperate, isn't it? Because they will be fixed on the same goal or objective, serving Krishna. But when that is absent, then the false ego means I'm serving me. So naturally we will clash. Me is more important than your me. I am more important than you. And there's that constant tendency of exploitation because of the false ego, and the false ego is what is creating all this enmity and this fighting, which ultimately results in different levels of aggression, isn't it? What is that story of Brigu? Brigu was sent to find out. There was some meeting of the sages. They wanted to know amongst, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, which one is the greatest? Because everyone is always praying to them, and then which one is the greatest? And then he had gone. Who was the first one he met? I think his. Yeah, and he had failed to offer obeisances to him.
Right.
And so that was an offense of the mind. Then after that, he went to see Lord Shiva, and he spoke to him harshly. Don't touch me. You know, you spend your time in the crematorium places and whatnot. So verbal, mental aggression or mental offense or violence, mental violence, verbal violence, and then he had kicked, of course, Vishnu. So physical. So when false ego is very strong, then the end result actually is physical, which means wars. Modern day wars, and or we see amongst individuals a lot of that going on the internet. Um, people saying all kinds of verbal, through verbal exchanges. And then, of course, all three are existing at a very, at a peak level at this time. So therefore, the need to introduce the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which is taking place, but needs to take place even more.
In the United States, what's a little interesting right now is that the new Minister of Education, she was the CEO for the WWE, the World Wrestling. I don't know what E means.
Okay.
Anyway, she's the new Minister for Education.
Oh, without really any background as such. Yes.
I thought, oh my God.
Right.
Actually, Prabhupada said, didn't he, that
Prabhupada said what?
one devotee told me that he said, so the devotees will be fighting because the different countries will be fighting and there's different, and Prabhupada said, no, the demons will kill each other.
Yes, that's Krishna's arrangement. The more that's part of the arrangement, yeah. That those who are of demoniac nature, they will fight against one another, and that will gradually relieve the burden. Yes.
Vrindavan Vilasini wants to know if she can join your class.
Vrindavan Leela.
Vilasini from Saranagati, your disciple.
Oh, which class?
Is it being? Can she go on the internet and see you?
Actually, is there a system for people to join? Hey, who's recording this and making this available?
There is, Maharaj. I was looking it up for another devotee in Vancouver who wants to hear your class.
But the question is there a system to hear it online? Online. What is that system?
YouTube Live.
Huh?
YouTube Live. Like a live translation on YouTube.
Yes. But unless you give a reference, people are not going to... What is that reference? What is that link?
They can just go to your channel, and there will be that in the morning.
Okay, so people need to know what the channel is. Yes.
Okay. Can you send her that message?
It's a...
Right there.
What is it? Careful. What is the actual link? in one line. Dot?
Not that, it's just channel in YouTube. You have to just Bhakti Raghav Swami. In YouTube you can search it and there will be your channel.
But people who don't know these things, they need to see it in writing practically. So it's what? It's YouTube?
YouTube. You just have to go in YouTube and then write Bhakti Raghav Swami.
Yeah. So he can message it to our children.
Okay, you just have to go, but many people don't know how to go to in YouTube.
Well, they don't get to go.
Channel link. Send him channel link.
Yeah. Anyways, it's probably good to share that channel link so that those who are, I mean, those who go on YouTube all the time, they know how to go on YouTube, but those who don't, they don't.
It's very confusing.
Yes. But yes, anyone can join the class. Yes. Any further comment or question in regards to the topic being discussed? And actually, when people are participating, viewing, they can also ask questions. We used to have questions online. Yeah. But unless the person recording is attentive, he won't notice questions online.
So Maharaj,
From tomorrow.
these devotees that, like yourself, that are doing PhDs and presenting to ordinary people.
Yes.
These ordinary people are basically hearing Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes, and so therefore these ordinary people are becoming extraordinary.
They're becoming extraordinary, and this is punya. This is for their next life.
Yes. Maybe for this life also.
Maybe for this life too.
Yeah, it begins with this life. They may or may not be aware, but they have, by hearing anything from Bhagavatam, they're getting the opportunity to actually know more and to actually come in contact with devotees, etc. And they're ultimately getting an opportunity to themselves become devotees.
Right.
And as nicely explained by our acharyas, anyone who comes in contact with the sound vibration, this is described by Srila Rupa Goswami, one becomes liberated. One becomes liberated because one begins the process of becoming freed from the material world. And they are guaranteed minimum. They are guaranteed to get human life in the next life. Of course, if they take nicely, fully to Krishna consciousness, then they can end up their business in this lifetime as well. Yes.
You know what's happening now? It's actually very inspiring. When I turn on my computer and I go to Google, and the news items are all there on the page. And there's one rectangle where the news items go by and you can choose.
Okay.
Now there's a devotee from the Delhi temple,
right,
who is giving very short, but still it's there.
Yes.
Bhagavad Gita class.
Okay.
5-10 minutes.
Yes.
He's picking at one point. And I see it every day now.
Is it? Yes. Yeah. Well, there's so many. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of devotees who are daily introducing in different ways the message of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And there are hundreds and thousands of people who are coming in contact, sometimes without even knowing or understanding. So yes, that's what I'm mentioning a little earlier, how the mission of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, largely in our present day situation, due to the efforts of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, is is being sent throughout the world, actually, through these different, through the social media, as you're pointing out, in ways that was never there before. So there's more and more opportunity for people to know something about, more and more words, Sanskrit words are becoming like daily household words practically, like yoga, and like karma, and like mantra, etc., like that. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So we can close for now. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Sridham Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Jai Nitai Gaura Primanande.
Hari Hari
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Jai.